What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is, of course, your Shogun Sugi here, returning to finish up some of my anime backlog, and this time I will be reviewing the first season of Tokyo Revengers, which originally aired back in spring 2021, and it was a very popular anime throughout the spring season, and it also has maintained its popularity throughout these months. The manga has been selling really well, second season has been announced, and also there was an ONA series on their YouTube channel called Chibi Revengers, which is a form of a comedic spin-off out of Tokyo Revengers. Nothing that you should basically watch in case you're very invested in the story. Now, I want to say that there will be some minor spoilers included on this review, so you have been warned. So, okay, before we go into my review, I want to first break down a bit of the story. What is the premise of Tokyo Revengers? So our main protagonist, Takemichi, is in his shithole apartment, okay? And he is reminiscing his life from 12 years ago when he was in second year in middle school, which was his highest point of life, okay? He had respect, he has his gang, he had his own bitch, yeah, girlfriend, and now he's like reminiscing, okay, damn, I don't have any of that anymore, okay? And now I'm just like a NEET, I'm not in education, I'm not working, there's literal shit, garbage, plastic bags in my fucking room. And then he opens TV, and then he's like seeing, oh damn, my ex-girlfriend just died on a cruel murder by the Tokyo Manji Gang. And then it's like kind of depressed and shocked, and then he's like, okay, he's going to train, I don't remember why, and somebody basically pushes him from the train station to the tracks, and it basically dies, and then he wakes up 12 years in the past when he was living the time of his life, okay, in the high school, okay? And then he like realizes that he has this power to basically go back in time and change things so Hina, which was his girlfriend, wouldn't die in the future. And then it like, spreads on from that initial premise, changing a bunch of different stuff, so a bunch of bad shit wouldn't go down in the future. And that's kind of like the main premise of this story, and he will be assisted by Hina's younger brother, who is a cop, okay? And he's like, they're, investigating the Tokyo Manji Gang, which are kind of like behind the murder and everything like that, and, basically, then after all, Takemichi basically starts to infiltrate to the Tokyo Manji Gang and like starts to learn and know about the people in the Manji Gang, and basically kind of starts to befriend them and starts to realize like what are the redundancies here, what is going wrong, and blah 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 blah. Okay, that's the premise. Okay, that's the story. Now, initially, I would always like if somebody would pitch that to me, I would say like fuck time traveling, like if there's a one way you want to demonstrate how bad of a fucking writer you are, you're gonna be doing time traveling. Like time traveling is so fucking bad. Like usually like 95, okay, not even 95, 98% of time traveling stories are full of plot holes and shit that doesn't make any sense. It always like logic doesn't apply, and it's just like so goddamn dumb, okay? And like for example, even in this show, like Takemichi at no point goes to look into the lottery numbers and make shit ton of money, and basically, okay, maybe this money could like help me out a bit, like solving my problems in the past, okay? So there's always these like logical things in time traveling which don't make a lot of sense. There are very, very few movies and shows that make it work where it makes sense. Like there are things where people time travel and it's a one-way street, they can't time travel back. That's also like a one good example where it works. Now that being said, Tokyo Revengers is definitely not the worst example of time traveling. You have basic rules how Takemichi can basically go back in time and go back to the future, like how it works. I will not tell that. People will know once they watch the show. It's not like a huge spoiler, but whatever. I don't want to ruin it. So it's not too bad. So in that sense, the execution is pretty good. I think that's kind of brings out a bit of a spice to the show. Also, the other aspect is that it's very rooted on the ground. It's a very grounded type of a show in the sense that it's about delinquents It's about Tokyo gangs who are fighting each other, and there's not like people with super abilities. This is not Bucky, not Kengan Ashura. It's not like anything else like these other like or Beelzebub Bubble, which was by the way like a really good entry to this genre. It's a lot more supernatural, and then maybe the anime is not as good as the manga, but that being said, I think fundamentally like this was not a bad take on the delinquent stuff, okay? Or the time traveling. And I think the grounded approach where people are not able to do like this crazy shit has been one of the main reasons why this has been such a popular show. And I guess there's a lot of characters which people can really get drawn into, I suppose. Now, this has been animated by Liden Films, which historically been doing a lot of things I like, Terraformers, Killing Bites. There are others which I can't remember top of my head. So I tend to always somehow get drawn into watching their stuff because I never like care about much of the studios. A lot of people do, but I never like this is an anime which looks good. I'm like, okay, I want to see this, but I don't care about the studio. I usually look it up when I'm actually reviewing them. And so let's kind of get into some of the good parts about and the bad parts. So I guess one of the main draws for this show is the characters. Historically, some of these fighting delinquent types of shows do not tend to have the best of characters. Actually, Beelzebub has pretty good ones, but a lot of the other ones which I've watched, like, I don't know, there was one manga on, on Weekly Shonen Jump. I think it was called Teppei or Spot or something like that. And it was basically about delinquent stuff, and I mean, like, to the top or something was the English translation, whatever. But basically, I think the characters are like pretty good. There's background stories to them. So we already had explained Takemichi, who's the protagonist. He's a bit of a pussy and kind of a loser, but he has like a very good, his heart is in the good place, okay? He is like the moral compass of the gang or the people in the show. Then you have Ken, who is like a vice captain in the Tokyo Manji group, another great character. And then we have, Mikey, which is basically one of the other main characters in the show. Now, one of the fundamental problems is when we go into the characters is that Takemichi is not an interesting character. He is very basic. He doesn't have any background story, by the way. Like, he, at least to this point in the anime, no background story to whatsoever. We haven't seen his parents. We only have seen what he looks like in the future, obviously, and that's something that applies to almost every other character in the show, by the way. And it just doesn't have any background story. So what basically has happened in this anime is that Ken and Mikey are a lot more interesting characters because they actually have background stories which are explored throughout this 26 episode season. Mikey more so than Ken, or Draken as he is called. So they are kind of stealing the limelight here for being more interesting characters and also having a bit more a mystery shrouded to them, and perhaps they're not so... Mikey, for example, is perhaps not so readable character than Takemichi is in terms of his decision making. Like, sometimes you would see what decisions he makes and you're like, okay, I have no idea. That would basically come down. So fundamentally, that's one of the problems of this anime, where you have the two main characters outshining Takemichi here. But I guess, like, if I look in the mal here, the Draken and Mikey are both listed as main and everybody else are supporting. So I don't know what to make out of that, but fundamentally, I kind of feel like Takemichi is supposed to be the main character because the other two is not even appearing on the first episode. I think they appear on episode 2 or 3, but whatever. So one of the other things I want to talk about is the pacing. I felt like the story was moving a bit slow, I guess, at times, but sometimes you have to have a bit of a character dialogue and things happening with the characters to kind of like build up bit more meaningful relationships, and when shit goes to fan, it's more believable because that build up has been there, and also there's obviously been build up in flashbacks as well. There's many forms that build up is basically done. But yeah, pacing perhaps slow at times. I don't know in terms of like chapters and that ratio because I haven't read the manga, By the way, the manga art was not actually very superb. So I think the anime has done a great job of like making it look much better than it was in the manga. And we're not talking about Attack on Titan comparison here, but it's something between those lines. Now, let's talk about one of the other problems in the show, so which is revolving around this gang culture. So, like, you don't get to see the parents of Takemichi. So you have no idea why does he want to be in a gang. It's not explained at any point of this anime. And none points. Like, they feel, okay, it's cool, but people are still being, what is being considered cool by people is very much, based on the background, how people, are brought up and their parenting. The parents are non-existent here. These are people, they are all underage people here. All the cast, far as I know. Where the fuck are their parents when these guys are like literally fighting? And there's like one big fight that happens on the end of the anime, end of the season, which is happening on a construction site in middle of the day. And this goes on like in anime time, like at least an hour. And you're telling me that in no point some fucking bystander or person that walked through the abandoned construction site didn't like call out the fucking cops, or the sounds and like the cars being crashed, and all this fighting of like 400 people literally being on this car place didn't gain any type of like noise or any type of thing. Like, nobody is calling the cops. Like, it's just like a bit unbelievable. Like, it's just like, it's not realistic, because the dynamic of people going into gangs in the real world really stems from fundamentally of one parent being absent, or both parents being absent, or basically being sent to juvie or something akin to that. And yes, one character is in juvie in this show, but like, there's no parents here. Like, you gotta stop, this Tuck Life Roadman shit. There's nothing of that happening. So one fucking parent being shown in the whole fucking 24 episodes. And that's also a fucking character that is super filler, which a name I don't even remember at this point, okay? So where are the fucking parents? I mean, there's some big brothers and stuff like that, but, outside from that, and also like they have money coming out from somewhere. Like, where's that money coming from to buy those bikes? Did the parents buy them? Because these are not criminal enterprises in the past. In the future they are, but in the past, where's the money coming from? Bikes are not like cheap shit. You can just like buy like them that. So there's a lot of things like that. And even when they go into Takemichi's house at some point in the past, there's no parents there. There's like a bunch of guys just happen to enter the apartment, and where are the fucking parents at? But I mean, I don't want to go into, the unrealism more. I just find it a bit ridiculous how it's being portrayed. Now, one of the things that they also did change on the thing was that there was a swastika symbol, which is like tilted. It's not tilted. The Nazis use a tilted swastika, and in Asia they use the normal swastika, and that has been, I think it's a Hindu symbol and things like that. And those are actually seen on some of their flags. And also, I believe in the manga books, in the manga covers, there's that swastika. But that is non-existent on the anime version, which is very interesting. I understand, because people are low IQ and they don't understand the nuance of a tilted swastika versus a normal swastika. But whatever. Overall, like, Tokyo Revenger is not a bad anime. It's just like, it had, a couple of those flaws in the logic of these like fights and what's going on, where the parents are, and also the time traveling has some holes into it. I just like explored a couple of those holes. There could be more of them. Some people who want to really like, decipher and break through all this shit. But I mean, I still kind of recommend it because it was like a decentish show, and the past couple of seasons in anime have been pretty abysmal. So not a lot of great stuff has come out, like new stuff especially. The sequel's okay, but new stuff, it is okay. But it's going to be interesting to see how it will turn out. Hopefully, second season will be good as the first one, or even better, obviously, would be nice. But yeah, it's a bit more grounded type of a delinquent show. It's more about the relationships than the actual fighting most of the time, and betrayals and backstabbing. There is some clever stuff you know, but it's very straight line at times too. It's not like there's not like super shocking twists that you don't see coming. Takemichi don't see it coming, but the viewer will. But hey, if you like this review, check out some other reviews on the channel, subscribe, like. What did you think about Tokyo Revengers? Leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching. I will be seeing you next time.